recording. And I've done the same webinar today in the morning for Australian and New Zealand market, and I forgot to share my screen at first. So I've been talking for 10 minutes without actually showing the presentation. So now I'll make sure that I've actually shared my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen. Yes, perfect. Thank you very much. So this time you'll see the actual presentation rather than I'll be just talking in front of the camera. Okay, so well, hello and welcome to What's New in ApprovalMax webinar. My name is Alex Kesselman and I'm a sales engineer here at ApprovalMax. Well, I hope this session will become a good tradition for all of us, so we could share some of the value proposition of the new features that we are developing and things that we already released, and show you how to use that in your day-to-day practice. Okay, so if you are familiar with ApprovalMax, then you already know about its core product, multi-role and multi-tiered approval workflows, working both on accounts payable and accounts receivable side. Purchase orders, bills, credit notes, sales invoices, we cover it all. But it's not only about the workflows. In order to provide even better spend control, ApprovalMax gives us access to things like bill to PO matching, customized reports, fraud analysis, and the mobile app to make this approval process easy and smooth and on the go. But now we want to go even further. So now we are happy to announce 3 new features to make your spend control even more robust. First one is budget checking, supplier approval workflow, and auto approval rules. If you've tried this feature already, please let me know in the comment section below. So we are really eager to hear feedback from our customers and to see if you've already tried it, if you've seen how it works, if you have any questions regarding these features. However, for those of you who haven't seen it before, we'll talk about the value proposition of each feature, and then we'll jump into the live demo so I could show these features in action. So I guess let's get started. And to start with, I want with the budget checking feature. Well, having budget control in general is a great idea for any organization. It allows you to keep track of your expenditures and manage businesses in the most efficient way possible. But when it comes to approval process, it's usually very unclear for decision makers if they're actually allowed to make the decision, if it's aligned with the budget. So it's typical for these decision makers to either make blind decisions and approve financial documents based on their intuition, or they start to play a game of cat and mouse with the budget holders, asking if they're actually allowed to make this approval based on the budget that budget holder has in his hands. And we want to fix that. And budget checking is a great tool to do that. Decision makers will see the real life data per each approval they are approving. Not only they see the data in real life, but also they can take a step back and see data retrospectively, month by month, or as a year-to-date picture, providing clear vision of any underspend or over the spend throughout the year. So that is budget checking. The second one, yeah, by the way, I see there is some questions falling under the Q&A section. That's perfect. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask them in Q&A. We'll cover all of those questions after the webinar. And if I don't know an answer to some of those questions, I'll make sure to follow up, or some of my colleagues to make sure they'll follow up with an answer. So the next feature is the contact approval workflow. Well, actually it's contact / vendor, because it works both for Xero and QuickBooks Online. And what is it all about? Well, many businesses, they do not have any clear process on the supplier creation. Some organizations allows everyone to create new suppliers by their own will, which actually brings to a lack of data and or even like potential fraudulent activity, because people can create their own suppliers and do some kind of a laundromat. Other businesses have a designated person who is creating these new suppliers, but it takes a lot of time to gather all of the data from different people across the organization to enrich the data for this supplier, which brings us to some delays in the business operations. So our new contact approval workflow was created to make this process clear and smooth for everyone. You can give access to create new suppliers to anyone from your team, but only once they'll provide all of the necessary information And once this application will be approved by the trusted team of approvers, only then this new supplier will get created in Xero, and it will be available in ApprovalMax to raise requests for both purchase orders and the bills. And the last, but not least, is our auto-approval rules. Well, we receive many bills on a daily basis. Some of them are recurring bills, such as utility bills, rent, subscriptions, things that we're going to pay anyway. So why would we waste our approvers' time on such bills? If there is something that should be automatically approved, then let's not make our matrices so complicated. It is better to create a rule that will take care of such requests. And that's what auto-approval rules are actually for. It keeps workflow clean and logical and give focus to your approvers on the things that they actually need to pay their attention on. But less words, let's jump into the actual demo and see how these features works in action. So I want to start with the contact creation and approval workflow. This one, it's hard not to notice an elephant in the room, because here all of our Xero connected approval workflows, on the bottom, we'll find a new workflow under category other, which is called contact creation and approval workflow. If we'll take a look inside, we'll notice that it's pretty much the same thing as we've seen before with the purchase orders or the bills. And main difference here would be what type of data, what type of form will be shown to the person when he's raising this new request. So let me give you an example. Here on the left side, we have a list of people who is allowed to raise new suppliers. Let's give a few options here. Maybe it will be 2 Alexes, Marco Polo, Chris, Jim, and John. All of these guys are able to raise new supplier. However, here we'll have 2 approval steps. One would be a trusted team. And we'll have maybe Chris. Actually, Chris is already on the requester list. Maybe that will be Veronica, Kate, and Liz, who will be approving on the first approval step. And I'll create another one, which will be our CEO approval, and I'll add myself, just for the sake of an example. So then when we'll fall down onto the approval matrix, we'll notice that there is not many columns here. It is basically just purely based on the requester type. So what we'll do, we can just provide rules that if it's coming from Alex and Chris, then it should go to Kate, maybe based on the department, something like that. If it goes from Jim, it will go to Liz. If the request coming from John, it will go to Veronica. Then on the CEO level, I will approve everything else, all other requesters, so myself and Marco Polo, and previously from my trusted team. So now we have 2 approval steps here. So let's activate the workflow. And by the way, if we want to provide some additional details to our requesters, we can go into the settings and provide instructions. So like, please provide email address, account number, and let's go with purchase settings. All right, so update the workflow. And now for the person who is added into our requesters matrix, when he'll click on create new, he'll find a new request type, which is called contact. When I'll click on create request, thing that will appear to us will be exactly the same form that we see in our Xero account when we're raising the new supplier. The main difference here would be that once we'll create this application, it won't get automatically created on the Xero side. It will first pass through your approval process, through your approval steps. So let's create a new contact. For example, what do I have here? Okay, I have the cameras, so Fujifilm. Account number, like that. Primary person, whatever, myself. Email. Works. Purchase settings. Let's select, maybe that will be our computer equipment. Let's go with just general expenses for the product department and for the currency euro, and also account number. So now when I'll click on submit for approval, it will go through the typical approval process. Person who needs to approve that will receive notification, just as with any other request types, such as purchase orders or bills. Then you will see the application itself with all of the contacts and details like account number, primary person, purchase settings, batch payment, and so on. Here on the bottom, we'll find the actual approval workflow. So it's keep the trusted team because I was the person to raise this request, and now the CEO will need to approve that. If everything looks good for the CEO, he can simply click on approve, and only then this new contact will get created in our Zero account. And also it will be, just as with any other requests, we'll see the audit report attached to that. And this new contact will be available for our requesters in ApprovalMax. So let's give it a try. So now I've approved it. It will go into our Zero account. And take a look on the contacts that we have here. We'll notice that Fujifilm right now created here. And if we'll take a look on the files, on the activity, we'll also find that there is an attached file, which is the audit report, the one that you typically see. So that's regarding the contact creation. Now, the next one, we'll go back to our approval workflows, and we'll take a look on auto approval rules. So for that, I have already created a bill creation, review, and approval workflow with multiple steps here. So I have my head of departments, IT and administration, C-level approval, but I also know that I am paying each month for certain things. I'm paying for my subscriptions to ApprovalMax and Zero. I'm paying for my utility bills. I'm paying for my rent. And I would like to create rules that I don't want to bother my approvers approving such things. So for that, I have this plus sign in between the steps. Once I'll add an auto approval step, I will enable it, and I'll go into the auto approval matrix. So here I can create as many auto approval steps as I want to, auto approval rules. Maybe the first one would be our utility bills. And I'll give it, create a rule if it's under 1,000 pounds and the GL code matches light, power, and heating, then it should get automatically approved. If it's over than that, it should go to someone from our team to approve it. Same thing will go for example, subscriptions. For example, under 300 pounds, if supplier matches ApprovalMax and Zero, and if account matches subscriptions, then it should also get automatically approved. More than that, it will go someone from our team. So it just takes away a lot of job from our approvers, not to think about and not to approve things that really don't need any attention. So they won't create a clutter in the approval stack. So that's the auto approval steps. Now the last one, but not the least one, is the budget checking. Some of you probably already tried the first version of the budget feature. And if you know about it, you probably remember that you had to go into your Zero account, into the accounting and reports, go into the budget manager, then export the budget that you have here, and then import that into ApprovalMax. So it takes, first of all, a lot of manual labor, and I am the person who hates manual labor. Second of all, it's not real live data. So if you've changed something here, it won't get automatically synced back to ApprovalMax. You'll need to export that once again and import that again, which takes a lot of time. So for that, we've updated our budget checking feature. And now if we'll go to the budget checking from the main menu, we'll notice that we still have an option to upload budgets manually, just as we've been doing previously. But we also have this feature called pull from Zero. Once I'll click on this one, it will bring all of the budget that I have in my account. So I have overall budget, I have a test account. Let's wait a second up until it's download this budget. So while it's downloading the test one, I'll be using my overall budget. So here, what is important? If I'll click on the three dots, I can first of all select my budget check period. With the previous version of budget checking, it was only showing budgets per month, not throughout the year, or we could not even select what period we want to see. Now we'll take a look on this one. We can select either 1 month or financial quarter, half a financial year, or year to date, like in my example. Moreover, if we want to see our details in gross, we can change that to gross amount. In my case, let's use net amount. And basically, anything you're doing right now in Xero, changing some budgets in your Xero Budget Manager, will be automatically synced back into ApprovalMax and shown to your bills and purchase orders once you're raising. So let's take a look and let's raise a bill and see how it will look like for our approvers. So let's see, bill for King Crimson, create a request. Let's, for example, raise the request for ApprovalMax due date the end of this November. That would be a setup at training package, quantity 10, 299, account, subscriptions, department. Let's go with product. Okay, so now once we'll submit that for approval, one thing that is new here, everything else pretty much the same. We have the same line items, we have our approval workflow here on the bottom, we have matched the purchase order, but a new thing appeared to us is the budget check. So what we're doing here, we're looking at the line items that you have in your request. In my case, I have a setup and training package, which is coded to subscriptions. Therefore, my overall budget will show me budget only for this specific deal code, like as it's shown here. We can see what is the budget period starting from 1st of April until 30th of November. We can see the remaining budget for this particular GL code. So I still have £8,000 to spend. And this bill is for £3,000. So I'm still within the boundaries. It might be that we're already closer to the edge and we're already closer to overspend our budget. So then it will show us in yellow that, hey, please take a look on your budget. Please be careful. Or if we've already overspent, it will show us in red that it's already been over budget. If we want to take a look on some additional details, we can click on the budget itself, and it will provide us a full picture on what's actually going on, starting from the full period. So as you can see here, I have a budget of £48,000. I have my remaining budget. I can see how many bills I've already approved, how many are on approval. Same goes for purchase orders. And then I can take a look on month-by-month basis. And as you can see, starting from April up until November, I haven't spent anything at all. But in November, I've already overspent 6 times. So for approver, that might be an indication. If they're okay to reallocate budgets from the previous month and use that all in this last quarter, or maybe we should reject this particular bill because we already overspent for this month. So that's how budgeting works. Okay, so let's go back to the demo, to the presentation. All of these new features are available in our newest advanced plan. You can find the pricing for that in the pricing page on the ApprovalMax website. And just to reiterate, who might need an ApprovalMax Advanced Plan? Well, if your customer or if yourself have a need to validate spending against the budgets, if you have a strict spend control, if you have a clear approval process, or if you don't have a clear approval process for vetting new suppliers, and you have a focus on the financial documents that actually need an attention from a human being, then ApprovalMax Advanced Plan is actually for you. But how can you try this new plan? Well, if you are already a customer, then you'll find in the product itself, if you are an account owner or administrator, you'll find little purple buttons for you to enable this 14 days free trial. However, if you're not yet a customer, then once you'll start the new trial, all of these features will be available for you straight away. And that's pretty much it from my end. So I see that there is 5 questions already in the Q&A section. Let's take a look. Okay, so Lee's asking, have you figured out how to add a budget for balance sheet, CapEx, edX, as Xero does not support? Yeah, unfortunately, not yet. So for the moment, this new budget checking feature is purely for the Xero Budget Manager in general. So it's just taking these data from the Xero Budget Manager and applying that to the request. It's just, it has a bit more enhanced functionality in terms of now we can see the overall picture. Now the data being streamlined automatically, synced back from the system, from Zero and into ApprovalMax, and it's showing a bit more information for approvers when they're making their decisions. So I hope that answers your question. Anthony, can you add any other important details such as estimated spend per year, which would then go through a workflow process? Example, directors approved annual expenditure over 10K. Any other important such as estimated spend per year? That's a good one. I actually don't know an answer for this one at the moment. So let me actually write down this question and I'll come back to you later on. I will need to consult with our product team if we do have something like that in our roadmap. Maybe, but I cannot guarantee, so I'll need to ask this one. Paul is asking, if you reject the supplier creation because the details aren't complete, do they have to complete the full form again or just fill in the missing parts? Well, in this case, actually, there is no need to reject things. You can just type in the comment section and the requester will receive notification from us, and then he can just simply edit that. However, if you reject that fully, well, then this person can copy this request into the new form and add new details. So that might be a possible solution. I hope that answers the question. Paula, can you set the budget checker for departments within that budget line, or is it just the total budget line? Yes, we can. If you have a tracking categories and one of these tracking categories is set to be a department, then we'll be taking care of, well, we'll be looking at both department and the GL code and showing you the budget specifically for this tracking category and for this specific GL code. Profit and loss only, not balance sheet. So yeah, Lee, that will be the same answer basically. So we are just working specifically with the Zero budget manager. Therefore, it's not applicable to the profit and loss report in Zero. So Allison, do the budget actuals come from the invoices approved in the ApprovalMax or the GL code in Zero? Well, it's actually from both. If you've paid for something, so in Zero, for example, it will reduce amount in the budgets, and then these budgets will be synced back to ApprovalMax, and the data will be showing according to the date. So this sync process happens, if I'm not mistaken, each 40 minutes, something like that. So pretty much data is up to date. Other Carol asking, are budgets filtered by tracking category as they are in Zero? Yes, they do. So it's exactly the same process as we have in Zero. If you have different budgets for different tracking categories, and we will first of all download all of those budgets at the same time, and per each request it will be shown based on the tracking category and based on the GL code, same as in Zero. Julie, can a form be auto-uploaded to input the new contact supplier data into ApprovalMax, or does it have to be manually input? Yes, it has to be manually input. So person will need to raise this new request, type in all of these necessary details, submit the application, and only once it gets fully approved, then it will go into Zero, created in Zero, and also created, will be available for requesters in ApprovalMax. I see in chat. Okay, that's the same questions. I hope I've answered all of your questions except for one. Anthony, I remember this one. I will ask our team and they will come back to you with an answer. Any additional questions before we'll close today's webinar? Let me stop sharing the screen. Okay, it seems like there is no more questions. My team will make sure to follow you up. We'll also receive the recording and the presentation itself. And if you have any questions, please contact our support team or your partner account manager. We'll be happy to answer any of your questions that you might left. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the day and see you in a week. Bye-bye.